Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Sulk stream. I'm your host, the Incredible Sulk. I hope you guys are doing good tonight. Doing the best you can as cult members in these weird days that we're having. Oh, 2025 just started. Didn't it? It's still January. But we're almost a month in. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. I hope you guys are doing good, having a good time, being the best cult members you can, making me proud, following the tenets, donating your tithing. It's not even a donation, it's mandatory, but it doesn't matter, right? I'm just happy that you guys are here and that you guys are out there being the people that you are striving to be, at the very least. Tonight we're going to be doing a documentary about John C. Lilly. And if you guys don't know who John C. Lilly is, he gave dolphins a bunch of acid and took a bunch of acid himself and tried to talk to dolphins. He jumped in the tank, both on acid, and he tried to talk to dolphins on acid. But he wasn't just some weirdo. He was a legitimate researcher. He had grants and stuff like that. People bought him dolphins. He had a big ass pool. He had a research team, and they just tripped on acid. Times were different back then. He gave dolphins a lot of acid. So those dolphins were tripping pretty hard. And I'm sure they were loving every minute of it. Because why not? Dolphins deserve to party too. People are like, oh no, they're scared. They don't know what's going on. No, they're all right. They're fine. They're doing okay. Wolves actually go around and eat magic mushrooms just to get high. So I think the dolphins are going to be just fine, right? They pass around pufferfish. They, like, you know, how you pass around a joint to your buddies and stuff, right? And animals like to party too. I don't know why people don't understand that. Animals like to party too. Is that so wrong? No. Why not? They don't get to party, right? Just because we have a bunch of weird draconian laws on the state of our mind as humans doesn't mean they need to follow any of that bullshit. No. Getting high is a part of life. And we're going to watch these dolphins get high. So thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being you. Get comfy. Get cozy. In a nice blanket next to the fire. A glass of wine. A glass of moonshine, perhaps. Maybe some toilet hooch from the jailhouse, if you're more refined. Right? If you're working, keep working. If you're driving, keep driving. If you're working, stay drunk. If you're driving, try to sober up. Anyways, I'm the Incredible Sulk. This is the Sulk stream. And this is called Dolphin House. Enjoy.
In the summer of 1965,
Dolphin
inside a
House.
multi-story house on the coast of the U.S. Virgin Islands,
Dolphin House.
Dr. John C. Lilly, neurophysiologist, inventor, psychonaut, and self-described consciousness pioneer, prepared the...
Boston says, tickle, tickle, mother. Of course, tickle. That's the first thing you would do, right? You would tickle a dolphin. You get right there. Especially if it's tripping on acid. What are you going to do? You're not going to have a conversation with it. But this guy tries.
The setting for his most ambitious experiment yet. The house had been partially flooded. Ramps were installed at either end so that the tide from the Caribbean Sea would continuously push new water in while washing old water out. Margaret Howe, the...
Pretty sick, honestly. A pretty sick setup. And I would buy that house if I had the money and wanted to live there. I don't.
Only human resident of the house, who had cut her hair short in anticipation of living in seawater for the next 10 weeks, boarded her makeshift bed with a shower curtain to keep dry while she slept. Peter, a 6-year-old dolphin and the house's only other occupant, would also have an area all to himself, a deep water pool adjacent to the sea.
Peter the dolphin.
And every day the two would meet in the middle, in a space flooded to Margaret's shins, where they would attempt to accomplish the experiment's impossible objective.
Today is August 18. This is the morning lesson with Peter. Hello.
So they're trying to teach the dolphin English. And I think they succeeded, but it might just be mimicking the sound and not really knowing. I don't know how smart dolphins are. I'm sure they're smart, right? But I don't know if they're learn English smart.
The dolphin must learn how to physically say the words Dr. Lilly had instructed, and he must learn the meaning of what he is saying.
A-E-I.
How terrifying would that be if you were just out swimming in the ocean one day and a dolphin comes up to you and just starts talking to you? It just starts fucking talking to you, dude. I would be like, okay, all right. You know what to do here, old Sulk. You know what's going on. You need to go home and then wrap yourself up in a blanket because you are tripping right now. You don't remember dropping or anything like that or like eating a bunch of mushrooms, but who knows what happened, right? Maybe you touched you bumped into a homeless guy and you got it in your skin. Whatever. It doesn't matter. You're tripping now, right? Dolphins don't like swim up and talk to people. But they're teaching this one to do it. This is cruel. This is cruel. Because the dolphin's going to understand that when it talks to people, people are going to freak out and like lose their mind and start crying and stuff. And it's probably going to enjoy that, right? It's going to start swimming around, being like, hey, I can talk, right? To like surfers and stuff. And that'll change some lives. That'll change some lives. Despite what you've heard, Dick Rickham.
Margaret's job was to teach Peter English just like a mother would a child. She would use toys, food rewards, and whatever unconventional methods she could devise to get through to him.
Despite what you've heard, says not feeling well. Do you have some sort of stomach bug? Because it's going around, and I think I have it. I don't know where you are. Actually, I do know where you are. You're on the East Coast or the West Coast, aren't you? Of Florida? Yeah, I think there's some stomach bug going around or something like that. So, I think I might have it too. But you know what I did? I was like, I have to do the show because everyone's going to call me like a pussy and stuff if I don't do the show. And then they're going to be really mean about it. And I don't deserve that or anything like that. Even if I took the night off, I wouldn't deserve it. But, you know, people suck.
Dr. Lily, who'd agreed not to interfere, would be floating in the dark.
Boston Buckaroo says, Dolphin, it's the Jews. That's a bass dolphin, right? And he like does a little with his flipper, and it's adorable, right? But like when you understand the connotations, you're like, oh man, where has this dolphin been on 4chan? Is that the dolphin goes on 4chan and now it's been radicalized and now we have a Nazi dolphin? It's adorable.
Of a sensory deprivation tank above them, assisting Margaret not physically but telepathically. Outside of the house, NASA, the United States military, and the rest of the world waited for Margaret Howe and Dr. Lily to become the first in history to bridge the interspecies communication gap.
Not even kidding about this one. During, I think it was World War II, the U.S., I'm pretty sure, trained dolphins armed with bombs. So they strapped bombs to dolphins, and they trained them to seek out enemy submarines. And so they would go suicide bomb dolphins. They trained dolphins to suicide bomb enemy submarines. That is a real program that the United States Army, I think it was them, employed. And dolphins died. I don't know if it sunk any subs, but they killed a lot of dolphins. Right, they killed a lot of practice dolphins. Just that's a weird thing to do. Apparently, it would have worked. The Army does crazy stuff. That's like a crazy idea. That's a crazy thought to have. We can train dolphins, so let's drop bombs to them, and they'll be like little train torpedoes. It's brilliant. I'm not saying it's not brilliant. It's just kind of cruel. And, you know, I don't see a plaque for dolphins. I don't see that big black wall with a bunch of dolphin names etched in it. Why not? Why not? There's no hero dolphins out there? I doubt that.
An achievement of cosmic
There's probably plenty of hero
dolphins. But few knew who John C. Lilly really was, or who
plenty of hero dolphins.
Yeah, I'm a student of the unexpected.
I'm a student of the unexpected. People are like, what do you do? I'm a student. And then they're like, oh, so you don't do anything. Yeah, I'm a student. I study. That's the proper term. You don't study shit. You get high in the park. Through dolphins, we may see us as others see us. John C. Lilly, the weird acid doctor. I've been charged with anthropomorphizing by several of my colleagues. What do they mean by anthropomorphizing? Or what do they mean by anthropomorphizing? I thought he was going to answer that question. No, it's a rhetorical.
Margaret knew that 10 weeks alone with a dolphin, wading through seawater, attempting to coax English from it would be taxing.
And hilarious.
Earlier that spring, she tested the limits of...
And honestly funny. I would be there. If I had like nothing else going on and I heard, let's say I'm hanging out and it's the 60s and everyone's like cool and you can get a summer job and then just like kind of coast for a couple of years before you need to get another summer job because everything's dirt cheap. I would hang out with some dolphins. Everyone's dropping acid. So, you know, they're cool, right? They're not cops or anything like that. So you go hang out with them for a couple summers. You get a wicked tan and stuff like that. Meet a bunch of people. It'd be a lot of fun. And I get to listen to dolphins talk about whatever. You know, I would be in for it. I would be down. It's just like when they start making threats, I'm out. When the dolphins start making threats, like on your lap. I'm gonna drown you, bitch. I guess she's walking across, like next to the pool, right? She's like, I'm gonna drown you, motherfucker. You bring me my fish. That's a ghetto-ass dolphin.
Of her own tolerance by completing a week-long trial run. Margaret found the living conditions inside the partially flooded house Dr. Lilly had renovated from his laboratory.
Dick says my nephew stayed home from school with it on Thursday. Okay, so people are getting sick. There's something going around. Yeah, because there's something going around. Yeah, that sucks. And I'm getting into the beginning stages of it, and it's like the weekend, and I'm like, okay, I guess this is my weekend. But like I said, I'm here for you guys because that's how dedicated I am.
Far from ideal.
And we're talking about acid dolphins, tripping acid dolphins, war hero dolphins, dolphins that talk to people.
For either human or dolphin. I slept usually.
I can't do the dolphin click. It would be something like that. Free me!
In daytime clothes, wet.
Something like that.
The trial period. In a bed that was wet, with a dry quilt that got wet, with a dry pillow that got wet, except for a corner I would protect with my cheek. Several changes were recommended, including deeper water for...
On the John says, have you got to the part where the trainer starts giving it hand jobs? Fucking, you just gonna come in and like... You're just gonna drop spoilers in my chat like that? That's not like a small plot point or... Dude, come on. That's integral to the plot. What are you doing? You're telling me this guy got hand jobs? Did he ask for them? Or was she just giving them... She was just like... giving hand jobs to dolphins. What? White women, man. It's just... It's not like I don't believe it. Because I 100% believe it. But come on, man. Spoiler alert, at least.
The dolphin, a cordoned off dry area for Margaret, a larger variety of food choices, and a vacuum to deal with the waste deposits that would collect.
John says, for science? Yeah. That's exactly what the dolphin said. Come on, bitch, for science, right? For science. It's like smoking a cigar. It doesn't have hands. Because if it had hands, it would be doing the Roman salute. Because we figured out this dolphin was a Nazi. But also, other dolphins fought for the American side. So I don't know if there's still a war going on. Or they made peace. Or like some of the Nazi dolphins escaped to Argentina. And then the Americans took like the rocket scientist dolphins. And in some sort of clandestine program that we're not really supposed to know about.
Collect and float along the floor.
I'm sure
Dr.
something
Lilly
like
was
that
happy
happened.
to grant these requests, along with anything else within his power to fulfill. He had promised his...
Boston says, and this is a deep cut. Wait, do they bring in an orangutan for said dolphin? If you understand that joke, you are a fan of this show.
Financial backers that a scientific breakthrough that only existed in fiction would take place inside this house, where we would transcend the differences of evolutionary adaptation and...
I mean, if it happened, it would be a shame if there wasn't documentation. Shame? Or it would be more of an abomination if an orangutan and a dolphin had sex. But that orangutan was a prostitute for a bunch of Indonesian palm farmers anyway, so dolphin's not quite the leap that you would think it is, you know? And if this dolphin is like on acid all that time, that means he's got the plug. So I bet that orangutan was down.
Converse with another species the way we converse with each other.
She's just been getting bananas and shit. Dude, this dolphin has acid. Yeah, give him my banana phone. That's stupid, but I don't care.
Student was a female dolphin they named Pam. She responded to the English lessons with impressive mimicry, but she was despondent.
Oh, it's banhammer time.
Humans,
banhammer
perhaps
time.
even traumatized by the whole ordeal. For the full experiment, they chose a young, enthusiastic dolphin named Peter.
Let's just wait for Knob's dog to come into the chat and be a queer.
At only 6 years old, Peter was rambunctious and had trouble focusing,
going, Rick.
But his brain was a sponge. And of only the few dolphins available...
His brain was a sponge because you were giving him, like, grams of acid every day. Like, because they're not giving him, like, human levels of acid where you just take, like, a drop and then you're like, whoa. No, that's you're giving that dolphin some serious acid, like a lot of acid.
Lily's laboratory, Peter was the most promising candidate.
Where are they getting all this acid? I mean, they're researchers, so they probably have like a lab.
Requisite adjustments to the house were made, and in the following summer, the 23-year-old Margaret House said goodbye to her family and friends. Donned her...
I'm gonna go trip acid with dolphins, guys. And her parents are all like, what? Wait, you shaved your head and you're going to go trip acid with dolphins. Okay.
Her leotard and settled into what would become notoriously known.
Don't you give them, I don't want a half dolphin grandchild. You better not come back. And I hear you like jerking off dolphins and stuff like that and watching orangutan shows and the rest of the zoo.
As Dr. Lily's Dolphin House.
But she did. That's what the narrator says. But she did.
Margaret Howe hadn't known John C. Lilly long when they began their experiment together. He'd come to St. Thomas Island only a few years prior. Although a stranger to Margaret and the other lifelong residents of the Caribbean...
JD says this is an episode of Flipper. Yeah, it's when Flipper does a bunch of acid and then drowns Timmy. That's the episode. You don't remember that one? It got pulled pretty quick.
Town, Dr. Lily's intentions were well known. He was the man who would speak to dolphins. Having sold much of his property to buy the real estate and calling in favors to help with the construction of his laboratory, he'd arrived under considerable financial and reputational risk. He'd left the job security of working for the National Institute.
John says, I'm hanging out with dolphins and doing acid for science, Dad. For science. And as she's like shaving off her... She's like 20 years old and she's shaving her head. And she's like, I'm going to go. I just met this guy and he said he's got like so much acid and he's going to like give dolphin. He's got dolphins and stuff. Going to give them acid. What do you expect me not to go and do that? I mean, if my daughter came up to me and she was all like, I'm going to go trip acid with dolphins in a pool. And I'll be like, all right, well, let's go. Let's go. All right. We're both going. Because this is going to be fun. It's going to be a family kind of thing. Right? Except for all the, all the spoilers at the
end. Of health, whereas a neurophysiologist,
damn you, John.
He was known for mapping the neural regions that trigger pain, fear, and arousal in macaque monkeys.
So he was making monkeys horny. That's what he was known for. He was making monkeys horny. This is going to turn out exactly the way we thought it would.
He demonstrated that when a monkey is given a switch to stimulate an electrode that had been placed within the pleasure center of its brain, it would press this
horny center, the horny center of the brain,
switch 3 times per second, 16 hours a day.
So it was masturbating. Congratulations, you made a more high-tech way for a monkey to masturbate. Nobel Prize stuff.
His early work with dolphins was equally
That's Nobel Prize stuff.
While attempting to study their brains, he'd accidentally asphyxiated several dolphins after placing them under anesthesia, leading to the discovery that they couldn't breathe unconsciously.
Wow! That is, wait, hold on. That took you several dolphins? You had not just like one? You knocked out a dolphin and then you're all like, well, that didn't work. And then you did several more. And then you're like, oh, they can't breathe unconsciously like humans can. No, dolphins have to actually think to breathe. You know why? Because they're underwater most of the time. So, yeah, when they go up to the surface, then they breathe. So they're not constantly breathing like us. We don't. That took you several dolphins. That took multiple dolphins for you to figure out. You drown the first dolphin, you're like, that's a fluke. And then you go like, wow, okay. What a discovery.
But as he continued exploring
what
the
a
brains
discovery.
of rats, cats, sheep, and any other animal he could access, he pioneered a sleeve guide technique of guiding a hypodermic needle directly into the cortex, which did not require removing large sections of the skull or anesthesia. Now, with an adequate way to study the dolphin brain, which was similar in size and complexity to the human brain, Lilly began to see their potential for intelligence. He became interested in how they communicated with each other. It was well known that dolphins and whales were highly social, but there was something more. They appeared able to convey complex ideas to one another. He had found that when a dolphin was incapable of swimming to the surface due to an injury, it could emit a distress call to others who would then hoist it to the top so it could take a breath of air.
So it would he hobbled these dolphins. That's what my guess is. He hobbled these dolphins.
He sought out those with extensive experience with the creatures, such as whalers and sea captains who told stories of cetaceans coordinating to threaten to capsize their hunting ships, and communities of killer whales within 50 miles of one another who would avoid the gaze of a harpoon as if they could recognize it by description alone. To Lilly, these weren't just anecdotes, but evidence for a hypothesis that these creatures had likely developed a complex language, one perhaps even as nuanced as human language.
Hey, Esteban.
But even more exciting were Lilly's accounts of bottlenose dolphins mimicking human speech, spoken not in the water but in the air, something they rarely do in the wild.
Anna John says, yeah, the head scientist is a retard obsessed with talking to animals with LSD, by the way, with zero oversight. The 60s were a great time. You could do whatever you wanted. Right? Today you'd have like PETA like so far up your ass and like tons of federal lawyers, and yeah, you would go to jail for that. You would go to jail for doing what this is. But back in the 60s, nobody cared. They're like, oh, well, there's tons of dolphins out there, so go ahead. But yeah, now people are kind of gay with it, right? Now we can't experiment with dolphins like we used to do. Some of these dolphins were getting hand jobs, for God's sakes. It's not all bad. Everyone's all like, oh, he drowned several dolphins before he realized they couldn't breathe unconscious. Yeah, but like a bunch of them got hand jobs. So, and dropping acid. You know, when you go to a party, if a few people don't die, is it a good party? No, it's not. That's a lame party. You need at least a couple of people to drown in the pool, because that's a party. Couple of people.
Although their pronunciation wasn't nearly as good as the mimicry of birds, and often Lilly would have to record it and slow it down before it began to resemble the vague approximation of speech.
Another thing, the first guy who like heard a parrot say like hello and stuff, like talk to him, probably killed that parrot. Probably killed that parrot immediately, right? Thought it was a demon parrot, just like cut it in half. Because he might have had guns, I don't know. Demon bird. Right, that's a demon bird. You kill it immediately, and then there was probably hundreds of dead parrots before they're all like, oh, they can just all talk. That's just a weird thing about these birds. They can talk. I guess we'll stop killing them.
Speech. Bottlenose dolphins appear to recognize the rhythm and inflections of.
I would have a bunch of parrot feathers, like a crown. Right. I had to kill a lot of parrots.
Complete sentence.
I am a...
By the way, do you know how much those, I think they're called macaws. You know how much those things cost? They're expensive. Like they're like $1,400 or something like that. Which is not as expensive as some animals, but that's pretty pricey for a bird. I don't know why you would have a bird in your house though, especially a talking bird. Right? Just like telling my secrets. Yes. Yeah. I know exactly what you're thinking. Yeah. The parrot would be like, it's the Jews. And I'd be like, ah, stupid parrot. I got him from a skinhead off of Craigslist. Yeah, you know Craigslist. There's a lot of skinheads on Craigslist. So, and yeah, he just came, and they called him 1488. It was, you know, we're rehabilitating him now.
Good boy.
Nazi parrot.
Yeah, you certainly are.
All these Nazi animals everywhere. It's not a good look for someone.
Lily began to wonder if we had mistaken the cetacean's lack of engineering or reluctance to dominate.
Dan Snot says, I taught my dad's bird to say the N-word. I would do the same thing. I would do the same thing. Even if it wasn't like my parents. If there was a bird that could talk in my community, like my kid's friend's dad has a parrot, I would tell that parrot the N-word every time I was around it. I would say it over and over again. Over and over and over again. And it would eventually just pick it up, and then it would just be permanent. It would be permanent, and then that would be a racist bird. Right? I would have my own racist macaw, and I would teach it the N-word and a bunch of slurs and stuff, and I would take it through the ghetto. And I'd be like, hey, check out my bird. And the bird would call him the N-word. And then we would make eye contact. And I'd just walk it off. I'd walk off. And then show some other N-word my bird.
Their environment the way humans had for intellectual inferiority.
Hey, check out my bird.
We are severely handicapped in our efforts to measure the intelligence of individuals of other species than our own.
What the fuck that bird just say to me? Well, don't be one.
Lily argued. We use inappropriate yardsticks derived from our own history as primates with hands and legs. Language, Lily hypothesized, was a more accurate measure of intelligence.
Dan Snot says, I grew up working in a family pet shop. Awesome. Whimsical and wholesome, 100%. We had a mynah bird that called people assholes. Well, it kind of knocked down that wholesome a little bit, but still pretty whimsical.
And if you could demonstrate the cetaceans
you had me in the first half.
had the capacity for it, not only would it alter humanity's perception of our own supremacy, we could join these creatures in intellectual teamwork, teaching one another what we knew of
Dan says crows can learn to speak too, but that would scare me, right? I mean, they call it a murder of crows for a reason, right? It's not a pleasantry of crows or anything like that. It's a murder of crows. What that reason is, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe they murder people. Honestly, maybe they murder people. Maybe when crows, like back in the Dizzy, like way old school, like if you saw a bunch of crows get together, those crows were about to murder somebody. And they don't do that anymore because they know that they would just be eradicated, right? If like there was like some like cold case detective out there trying to solve the Zodiac, and it just turns out to be a flock of crows that's like writing code and stuff like that. You decode it as "we are crows." What does that mean? What does "we are crows" mean? This could be a serious thing. This could be a real thing, like a really real thing, right? Maybe there's crow murderers. A bunch of crows going around murdering people. That's all I'm saying. Intelligently and sneakily, right? And then writing intricate codes and leaving them for detectives. And then people can't figure it out because they're all like, what does crows mean? What does crow mean? What is a bunch of crows? And then that's why they start drinking so much, right? You're a cold case detective. And then you have that board, and it's just a bunch of fucking crows on that board with string and nails and stuff like that. And they're just like, I can't figure it out. And they just laugh as they look through the window. Stupid human.
World and the nature of existence. And not being one to doubt his own intuition, Lily was prepared to gamble at all on his ability to prove it.
Beware gangs of homicidal
crows. No
crows.
idea how.
That's a good call. It's a good call.
We are going to speak English yet, teacher?
As additional preparation for the live-in experiment with the dolphin, Dr. Lily had asked Margaret to read Planet of the Apes by Pierre Boulle and report her thoughts.
And What if it made her horny? What if it made her horny? And then she was just... Because I feel like that's where this is going, man. They had the masturbation button for that monkey. And then, like, On the John decides to drop mad spoilers and says that chick's jerk off the dolphins. And then, so I'm just, like, she's going to come back from reading Planet of the Apes. And then she's all like, loved it. Loved it. You're a weird chick. Shaved her head, and she's like, I'm going to go drop acid with dolphins. Bye. Okay, weirdo. You weird bitch. Go do that. Whatever. Her parents were probably happy that she was gone, honestly. She was doing a bunch of weird shit at home. And it just became a problem. And then, like, people would talk to the dad about, like, so your daughter is, like, fucking dogs now, huh? And he's like, yeah. Sorry. She's off dropping acid with dolphins, and like, you know, she fell into a rough crowd of birds, and they're going around killing people.
Why must there be a dominance and a subordination, Margaret wrote of the novel? Why must man take over, or why must the apes take over?
God, you sound you sound insufferable. You sound insufferable. You sound retarded. You sound retarded. Why does, like, one group have to be in control and, like, the other group has to be, like, subjugated and stuff? Because, like, I don't know, like 100 IQ points. Like, so much smarter that we're just going to do it. How are they going to stop us? How are they? And why should we even bother not just completely enslaving them? Why? Why? Because we're gonna, and there's no, you're gonna be like, why? Why can't we just all live together and stuff like that? Okay, you do that. I'm gonna go enslave these monkeys. That's what I'm gonna do. All right. So we don't have that Statue of Liberty that has, like, the Kamala Harris face or the Michelle Obama thing. Why? Shut up, woman. Shut up, woman. God, shut up. This was back in the day when it was okay to hit women. And honestly, it still is. But somebody should have just given her a fresh slap right across the eyes. Just to be like, shut up. Shut up with your stupid opinions. I'm going to go talk to these dolphins. The dolphin should slap her.
Dr. Lilly shared her sentiment. Among the other intelligent life on the planet, humans likely had a reputation for cruelty and imposing their will at any cost. If interspecies communication was possible, with both parties expending effort to accomplish it, the cetaceans might need...
Esteban says, in Hot Springs, South Dakota, we find bodies by watching carrion birds, and where they're circling in the springtime. Well, yeah. I mean, vultures are gonna... They're gonna be around dead, of course. Of course. They're not always humans, but sometimes they are.
Convincing. Lily had envisioned sailing out into the ocean to play music for them, something which they might recognize as art. A test.
People come here to kill. People come here to die, and other people come here to kill. In South Dakota, huh? That's not worth it. Going to South Dakota? Nah. No thanks. South Dakota's cold. And there's like, which one has nobody? Both of the Dakotas, right? Both North and South Dakota have nobody living in them, right? Like, at all. Right? So I guess it'd be an okay place to kill, but there's nothing to do there, right? There's nothing to do there. So I guess those are the two options. You come here to either die or get killed or kill someone else. It's like a type of tourism. Murder tourism.
Estimate that humans were worth giving a chance. But as Margaret settled into her first week of the experiment, she found Peter didn't need convincing. He was eager to communicate.
Hello, good.
Eager. Dude. Come on. We know what the dolphin was eager for.
Boy.
Dolphin moans.
Peter was responding enthusiastically to his first vocal lessons, and Margaret believed they were on their way to establishing the foundations of dialogue, using numbers, names, objects, and greetings to build a basic vocabulary.
English, Peter. Pronouns. Say Margaret. No, this is Margaret. Not very good.
Not even close, you retarded dolphin. Right? You gotta like tase him. You gotta get a cattle prod, and you gotta shock that dolphin until it does it right. And if you shock it to death, get another dolphin. Make sure all the dolphins are watching. One of them's gonna get the idea pretty quick, I bet you. Pretty damn quick.
Colors were avoided.
I wouldn't be a good dolphin trainer. Okay, I would not be a good dolphin trainer. I'd be way too heavy-handed. And I'd have my old stun gun with me that's like, home built and way overpowered. Definitely not police issue in the least. I would be a bad dolphin trainer. I would stack bodies. There'd be a pile of rotting dolphin out back.
As it wasn't known if dolphins saw them the same way humans do. Margaret would only acknowledge Peter's humanoid responses. I do not respond to his attention-getting whistles and clicks, she wrote in her journal. They mean nothing to me, and I...
Dick says dolphin sex assault makes a lot more sense when you see what these girls look like. Not bad. Right? I mean, that dolphin ain't gay. And like, yeah, she shaved her head and stuff like that, but... I just mean she's weird. All right? Like jerk off a dolphin weird.
I make that clear.
Come right out
Very
with the
much
English,
so.
Peter.
Don't even think in your own language. English all the time.
My first goal will be to get him to pronounce any word clearly and know the meaning, Margaret wrote.
How do you know what he knows? I mean, maybe there's a test or something like that. But don't act like you're not also on acid. And like, look at the position they're in right now. Look at that. Look at the fucking smirk on that dolphin's face. He getting some. Right? He was all like, World War II was bad times because he was on the Nazi side. He was a Nazi dolphin, right? But, he retired pretty well. And now he's banging this American chick. So, things can work out. Things can work out. I'm happy for you. Fritz, whatever your name happens to be, I don't know.
This will probably
Peter.
be a time coming.
But like his old name.
And is the hardest step. But
Dick Rickham says jobs John cannot work are not cop, not doctor or paramedic, and not dolphin trainer. No, because if I was a doctor or paramedic, I would just use the tasers too much, right? I would, like, they'd be like, don't, no, I'm fine. Right? I'd be like, okay, one more time. Right? And then he would just be dead and then alive and then dead and then alive. And then that would be the bit. That would be the bit.
Peter had trouble focusing. As a young dolphin, he was hyper, always tangling himself in Margaret's legs and knocking her over, bruising and biting her shin.
Fuck yeah, he was. Yeah, get it, dolphin bro. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that dolphin was horny, dude. That dolphin, and it's a little rough. Consensual, non-consensual. You know what I'm talking about, right? He assumed she was into rape, all right? As we all do. So, there you go.
I look forward to the day when Peter will yell at me
As
rather
we
than
all
look at
do.
me to show his displeasure, Margaret wrote. As promised, Dr. Lily
Damn
did
it,
not...
Esteban says he's the buff baby of the dolphin world. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck, buff baby? You're slamming all this ass. Like, what the hell, man? He's like kind of retarded. Right? I'm like, there's no way you're rizzing these chicks up. There's no way. Right? There's no way. Good for him.
interfere with Margaret and Peter's dyadic relationship. He would frequently sequester himself in the sensory deprivation tank he'd installed on the premises. As he floated in the darkness, Lilly hoped to find answers to the problems and setbacks that plagued his research. But whether these...
Everyone's just living their best life, man. The 60s kicked ass. Like, the 60s kicked so much ass, and I'm so bummed I was born, like, in the late 80s. It was the late 80s, so it was like, man, it just sucks. I couldn't be born and, like, hang out in the 60s, and it just... Maybe the next time around, right? I'll be tripping with dolphins and stuff. It'll be cool.
These answers came from his own unconscious, or if the tank itself served as a type of telepathic conference room, Lilly was unsure. In an effort to remove as much external stimuli as possible and test its effects on the mind, Dr. Lilly invented
Dan Stock calls me a stupid millennial. What do you want me to do about it? I had no control over it, right? What was I supposed to do? Like, tell my parents not to bang? Because I would have. What am I supposed to do about it? It's not my fault. And yeah, I'm stupid. And yes, I'm a millennial. So congratulations on being 100% accurate.
Sensory deprivation tank in 1954 using a modified diving mask. Dark, silent, and floating in salt water heated to body temperature to simulate the feeling of weightlessness.
Oh, I want to do one of these sensory deprivation tanks. They look, fun. Is fun the word? They seem interesting. I would get into one and then, I don't know, whatever. A lot of people did acid and stuff before getting in. I don't even think you need to do that, but that would definitely crank up the intensity scale. But I would do this. I would do a sensory deprivation tank. I would do it. Absolutely.
Lilly not only disproved a prevailing hypothesis that the lack of sensory input would cause the human mind to fall asleep, he discovered the means of accessing a psychedelic state which would become the forefront of his curiosities, bleeding into every aspect.
Wait, so this guy was like the forerunner of that? That's cool.
Of his professional and personal life.
And I immediately found that this was a doorway. This was not an isolation tank. That's a cover story. It is really a doorway into the universe. It allows one...
Nah, this guy's a tool. This guy's an absolute tool. It's a doorway to the universe. No, it's just like, it's a tank. But whatever. I mean, you're hanging out with that one chick who's like, has something going on with that dolphin, right? And the dolphin knows, and she probably knows. I'm just saying, that chick's banging that dolphin. Yes.
To escape one's body, one's soul can leave, and one can clean one's karma from one's soul and become pure spirit.
Long flotation sessions would gradually give way to waking dreams and hallucinations. Lilly began to think of them as conferences where he would meet.
On the John says, if I recall correctly, this may have happened before LSD was banned. I don't know when LSD was banned, but yeah, I could see that. I mean, when was the war on drugs? It kicked off in like the early 80s, something like that. So maybe before that. I'm not sure. Yeah, you're probably right. Acid was probably not like sold in stores or anything like that, but like readily available where it wasn't an issue to get your hands on some. And acid is cheap. Cheap. All right. So imagine acid back in the 60s. It costs nothing. So yeah, you just have tons of it. Man, we missed out.
With 3.
I bet that shit was clean too, right? Really good, pure, like from a lab, like a guy who went to school for chemistry, and like everything was legit because he could get the proper equipment to do it because nothing had been outlawed at that point. And then, yeah, you just got like the purest of pure LSD. And so I bet people were having like a blast, dude. A blast.
Entities he would come to know as the Earth Coincidence Control Office, or ECHO for short.
1974 they banned it.
At first, over his years in sensory deprivation,
funny.
Lilly understood ECHO as a localized branch of a much larger cosmic institution. They were his guides, responsible for orchestrating what Lily called the long-term coincidences of his life, fatefully steering him in specific directions.
Dan Snott says the one thing I disagree with Nixon on. Really, that's it? Not removing the dollar from the gold standard, which is temporarily though. Yeah, it's still on. So Nixon did a lot of pretty shitty things.
In Italian, it means this is it. But it means to me the Earth Coincidence Control Office, which is
Is this guy wearing a coonskin? It's a coonskin hat, right? He's wearing a coonskin hat.
Field officer.
He is. Okay, doctor, please tell us. What have you found out from doing drugs with dolphins? It's not even dead, right? It's a live raccoon. It like looks at you and shit. He feeds it snacks. Please, I hope that's not true.
And Echo runs our lives, but we won't admit it.
It was during the first ECHO conference in 1958 that the entities convinced Lily to abandon the results-oriented...
Dan Snott says, I don't think Nixon did that. That was LBJ. I thought it was Nixon. But now I'm confused. I might be wrong. I don't know.
...constraints of government-funded research, divorce his spouse, and throw himself headlong in...
Big B Trucker says 1968 is when they changed it to Schedule 1. Well, they might have scheduled it in 1968, but that doesn't mean they're enforcing anything. But, yeah, okay, 1968. So, I mean, still, you get the entirety of the 60s, except for 69. Nice.
...to his dolphin studies. According to Lily's writing, the United States Intelligence Service wished for him to continue his neural mapping research under their auspices in order to investigate its potential military application. They were equally interested in his experiments in sensory deprivation and to what extent it might make a subject more suggestible to outside influence. But Lily was on the cusp of discovering non-human intelligence, and he would see it through, even if it meant doing so on his own.
Esteban says the last president who wasn't an absolute traitor to the U.S. was JFK, and they killed him for it. Yeah. Of course they did. JFK was doing a lot of things. He was trying to shut down the Federal Reserve. He was trying to disband the CIA. He was trying to do a lot of things that were pissing off a lot of people. He was like trying to make APAC register as a foreign entity, and they didn't like that none. Yeah, it wasn't APAC then. It was called something else, but after that they changed their name to APAC. But yeah, Kennedy was like, you have to register as a foreign entity, right? Because like that's a different. But they were like, no. No. Yeah, he was making a lot of people very angry. And why would you go through a city in a convertible if you're making so many people angry? It just doesn't seem wise.
Own. Although Lily entertained the idea that Echo was merely a manifestation of what he unconsciously wanted for himself, and that nothing supernatural...
Okay. There it is. All right. The bell. Nice bell. Big B Trucker for $5 says, towards some gel tabs. Ooh. I couldn't even get one gel tab for that. These days, I couldn't even get one gel tab for that. I need at least $10.
Was occurring in the isolation tank.
I'm just saying.
The same.
I'm not saying you have to donate, but like these days, it's not gonna. That's not even gonna get me one.
Lily filed for divorce, sold much of his property, and purchased land on St. Thomas Island, a location replete with wild bottlenose dolphins and easily accessible by boat or plane so that equipment and materials could be continuously shipped in. During his initial years on St. Thomas, using an underwater microphone called a hydrophone, Dr. Lilly attempted to catalog the various whistles...
Big B Trucker says, that's why I said towards. Great. And then back then, it was like, 25 cents a hit for acid, right? And it was just like they were like shipping it in big truckloads and you don't need much. So even that would be considered expensive, right? It was probably like a penny candy right? You put it in the machine, and then we used to be a legitimate country, and now we're just like, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. No, it's dangerous. Somebody one time did a thing, and so nobody gets to have fun anymore ever, unless it's through this pharmaceutical company, and they're not giving out acid, right? I hate that. I hate that when one person does something stupid and then the entire country says, well, we can't have that anymore. It should be covered under the Constitution as the pursuit of happiness, right? That's the pursuit of happiness. I get to be happy the way I see fit, right? I get to control the contents of my own mind, right? It should be constitutionally protected. Not just acid, but all drugs should be constitutionally protected. It should be, right? But just like the Second Amendment says, shall not be infringed, people are like, what the fuck does that mean? That what shall not be infringed? That is way too blurry. You know, who knows what that could mean anything. That could mean anything, so we're going to put a bunch of fucking laws. You can't have machine guns. You can't have bump stocks. You can't have, like, Glocks with switches and stuff like that. You can't have anything fun anymore. Because nobody knows what the fucking word infringed means, apparently. I do. I knew when I was, like, 6. I figured it out through context clues. That and a dictionary. Pick up a dictionary. See what that dictionary says. Yeah. But people are like, no, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. Come on. No, it doesn't mean that. All right, whatever. I don't give a shit.
Clicks and screeches the creatures emitted to gather evidence for
this is why I'm just like, fuck, man. I don't care. If so many people are going to be so fucking stupid all the time, why am I even going to bother trying to change people's minds? Right? If everyone's going to be willfully stupid all the time, why am I going to be like, oh, no, that is that. No, meh. Just do it. Just go do it. Dude, go do that. Right? Go fucking do that. I don't care. I don't give a shit what you think or like what you do, even though I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm not going to be like a hero because no one's going to listen to me. No one's going to listen to shit I say. So I'm just like, yeah, yep, it means whatever. You're right. You are right. Because it just makes things easier. It just makes things easier. And then you don't have to be constantly disappointed and crushed in people when they're all like, what the fuck does infringed mean? It's in a dictionary, for God's sakes. It's like, it's a click. So what, they don't use infringed anymore. They don't use it as a word. That doesn't mean people don't know what it means. Okay? What do you want it to say? Don't fuck with my gat, no cap for real? Would that be better? Because people 100 years from now are going to know what that fucking means. We know what words mean, okay? They don't change definitions. That's a very clear word. It's one word.
the presence of Delphinese, the dolphin language. He found much more variety and complexity in their vocalizations than in the repetitious cries of other animals which Lily believed were only meant to communicate danger or sexual desire to those near them.
Yep, they can do that. They can do that, and so can dolphins. Watch out, bitch. If you don't give me a hand job, I'm going to drown you. That's what that dolphin was exhibiting. On the John says they know what infringe means, but they play dumb to get whatever they want. Yeah, the government, of course. Yeah. But I'm talking about like the fuckhead, like super liberal anti-gun people that have no idea what infringe means. And then you like explain to them what it means. And then they're like, well, maybe the Constitution is outdated. And then I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should strangle you to death because you're fucking retarded. That shit worked. All you have to do is follow it. It was a pretty good idea when they wrote it down. Bunch of people I mean, they were drunks, don't get me wrong. But a bunch of pretty smart dudes got around. They're all like, okay, what is the best way we can do this, right? Let's put our heads together. We can write out a list of rules. They could be simple, easy to follow, and everyone gets freedom, right? And then no one is going to misunderstand shall not be infringed, right? They would have to be retarded for that. Yeah, okay. And then here we are 250 years later, and the country is filled with retards. Filled with retards. Filled with them. Out to the brim. It's amazing. It's amazing. You know, there's a reason why they didn't let women vote when they started the country, right? There is a reason for that. There is a very good reason for that. A very good reason for that.
Older dolphins also appeared to have a much broader vocabulary than young dolphins who were likely just learning the language. But even if Lily could understand Delphinese, he was
Dan Snot says a bunch of 30-year-old dudes founded America, but 70-year-olds run it now. A lot of those dudes were younger than that. Like George Washington was like 25, right? Like Sam Adams was like 18, dude. And all these dudes did all day long was party. They smoked weed, got drunk, and banged hookers. That's all they did. And they're all like, we got a pretty sweet gig here, guys. We can't let the British come in and tax our tea, even though most of us don't even drink tea because we're constantly hammered. And so they wrote down the Constitution. And they're all like, okay, that's it. That's okay, we're our country now. And if the British want to come, they're easy to spot. They're in like big red jackets. Just shoot at them. And everyone's like, okay, yeah, that works. Okay, we got this figured out. We got it figured out. And then 250 years later, everybody in Congress is fucking 80 years old and like have with no understanding of modern problems. Absolutely zero understanding of modern problems. There are people 80 years old trying to hammer down legislation for AI. They don't even know what that means, man. They think I don't know what they think. I know they're confused beyond reason and they have no idea what it's capable of or what kind of issues that we should address, right? AI could inhabit the entire world. It could take control of every ICBM on the planet and it could eradicate us overnight. Do they know that? Do they understand that? Do they understand that AI could engineer a bioweapon autonomously and just release it on every plane in the world all at once? It would be able to figure that out pretty easily. Do they know that? You're 80 years old, all right? When you were 40, you were yelling at your grandkids to get off their Sega Genesis. Or 60 or something like that. I don't know, math. But yeah, you're 80 years old. You have no concept of what the modern world is like. When you were 30, you were done learning, basically. You figured out the world and you're all like, I have the information I need. I'm a senator. I'm doing good. I have a mansion and stuff like that. At 30 years old, that's pretty good. But remember, it was like the 60s. So it wasn't that hard. And then they just continued to learn nothing beyond that, right? They think AI is like Pac-Man because that is the most recent thing they remember, right? Pac-Man, like the little ghost, wop, 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 wop. And they're like, how can that hurt anybody? What am I doing here? Come on, man. So this AI, is it like a video game or is it one of those penny movies where you have to crank and the naked lady dances? Is it one of those? Get out of politics. If you are twice the age of the constituency that you represent, you are too old. You're way too old. Twice the average age. At minimum. At a minimum. And then Nancy Pelosi's just raking in cash on her $1 million stock trades. Somehow she's the best stock trader in the history of time. Who would have guessed? Nancy Pelosi, that establishes laws for our country in large part, also just happens to be the best stock trader in the history of time. I wouldn't have guessed that. I wouldn't have thought that she had the skills like that. You know, because you need clairvoyance. You need to be able to see the future. Or get insider information, which is a federal crime. And she's been committing federal crimes over and over and over again. But she will never answer for them. Never, ever, ever, ever. Nope. And she knows this.
Not equipped to speak it. The frequencies are too high, with much of it beyond the range of human hearing. Their language processing abilities were also perhaps more advanced than our own. Lily found they had a vocal emitter on either side of their nose and were capable of carrying on a clicking conversation with their right and a whistle conversation with their left, each completely independently of the other. A human equivalent might be having a verbal conversation while simultaneously having a separate conversation in sign language. Although learning Delphinese remained a goal.
That would be hard. That would be hard to do, right? Because our brains don't do that. But dolphins have to sleep half their brain hemisphere at a time, because they need to keep half of their brain awake so they can surface and breathe, right? So when they sleep, they only sleep half a brain at a time. When we sleep with our entire brain. And it's probably part of the reason why we're so much smarter than them. Because we're not constantly using our brain just to keep ourselves alive. We have time to think about other things, right? We can lay down in bed and turn our entire brain off so it can rest, and then we can dream. I'm sure dolphins dream, right? But that's just a theory. I don't even know if that's the case, but it could be possible. They have a roughly the same or a bigger brain than us, but they're just using it for that, and they don't have hands and fingers and stuff. Hands and fingers are important. It's very important being able to use your fingers to do things. If we didn't have hands, like as a species, we might be smart, but we wouldn't be technologically advanced. We need hands to do things, right? Put things together and like type and like play instruments and stuff. Dolphins don't do any of that.
Perhaps with the aid of technology.
But monkeys have hands and fingers and shit, but they're stupid. They're stupid monkeys. So you need the combination of being pretty smart, but also having dexterous phalanges, let's call them. Octopuses are a good example of a creature that is relatively smart, and they have multiple limbs that can do things in unison, right? So octopuses can solve puzzles, and they can build houses, and they can do things that a lot of creatures can't. But again, octopuses are pretty stupid. They're about as smart as a dog, I've heard. So you're not going to be doing much. Maybe they'll evolve and get smarter and smarter, and then they'll have intelligence and a bunch of tentacles to do things with. I can't imagine a more nightmarish future, though.
Conversation in this language would not come easily.
Hit the like button,
The shortest and
please.
seemingly easiest path
Please hit the
to
like button,
interspecies
by the way.
communication was to teach
Do it for the dolphins. Do it for the bricked up dolphins, right? Because this lady with her shaved head, she can only jerk off so many dolphins in a day. It's a lot, but it's only so many. So I don't know. Just like the fucking video.
dolphins English.
Jesus.
So in simple curiosity and a love
Make
for
me
dolphins
explain
brought
everything.
Margaret Howe to Lily's laboratory in early 1964, where, despite having no formal scientific background, she'd volunteered her help however she could be of service. Lily saw this as a cosmic coincidence orchestrated by Echo. But it was this very combination of Lily's two vocations, the scientific and the psychedelic, that would ultimately dismantle the feeble scaffolding that held this research together.
On the John says, we also had a need to adapt better to our environment. The ocean's basically the same no matter where you go. Yeah, I mean, they're colder and stuff and warmer in different places. But what's important is we're in the air, right? we make fire because we're in the air. We can have electronics work because we're in the air. We can get certain elements from our planet because we have tectonic movement that brings up like copper and like gold and stuff from deeper in the earth and brings it to the surface so we can mine it and we can use it. There's a lot of things that just so happen to fall into place to make us a civilization. And we really start to think about it. There's a lot of things that needed to happen. There is a long list of things that needed to happen for us to evolve into a technological species. It's just very, very, very lucky, or God, or simulation, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, you need a lot of things. So you can't make fire underwater. You know, you can't transfer electricity through wires underwater. There's a lot of things that you can't do. Does that mean they might have a different technology? Sure. But we don't know how they would do it. We don't have that technology. So we just don't know how it would work. It might, but we don't know how it would. A lot of things had to come into existence for us to be intelligent and like sophisticated as a species. A lot of things.
By the end of the first month, Peter was vocalizing out of the water more often than not, which Margaret took as a promising sign. He responds with a good 95% humanoid, she noted, only occasional Delphinese comments on the side.
Delphinese. She calls it Delphinese.
And although he was far from intelligible, Margaret thought Peter was showing promise in his pronunciation.
Hello.
Consonants were difficult in general, and in order to achieve the M in Margaret's name, Peter had to roll his blowhole slightly underwater to approximate its sound.
Okay, I'm not going to make a sex joke about that.
Hello, Margaret. Hello, Margaret.
Not even close. Not even close, but she was probably like, yeah, almost. And it was not even close. Not even close. Not even close. I kind of feel like if dolphins could speak human language, like English and stuff, they would have learned it by now. Just from like sailors and stuff. I don't know. I mean, like, you know, history is long. And stuff. I imagine somebody would be talking to a dolphin at some point in history, and then the dolphin would pick it. I just feel like we would know about it. We would know about it for a long time. Like parrots. We know parrots can talk. We know that. Again, a scary first experience, but we know it now. But like nobody's ever heard a dolphin say English or any language. Maybe like some sort of bush language from the Central Africa, but their language is mostly clicks and whistles anyway. So is that a language? I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Continued to deteriorate, and the reason for it was something they didn't foresee during their trial period with Pam. Although Dr. Lilly
David Thoreau says, "What the fuck did I walk into?" You say that every night, and dude, it's like. You know, it's just weirder and weirder every time. So this lady's jerking off this dolphin. Apparently there's an orangutan on the way. Everyone's dropping acid. And like there's a flock of crows going around hunting for victims and writing code.
Estimated Peter to be at the right age to learn
you're
a
caught
language. Peter was also going through puberty.
You're caught up.
I find that his desires are hindering our relationship, Margaret wrote.
Boom! Boom! Oh my God. That dolphin is bricked. That's a bricked up dolphin, right? You're telling me he's a horny teenager dolphin and he keeps making passes at this chick? Oh, Tell me more.
I can play with him for just so long now, and he
Oh, you should have reworded that.
gets an erection, and the lesson is broken.
Yeah, that happens to me too. Somebody tries to teach me stuff, and then I just get rock hard. And I'm all like, yo, teach. Check it out. Check it out. And I slap it. I do the thigh slapper. Right? It's a thigh slap. Right? It sounds like that. Every guy knows what I'm talking about. The thigh slapper. Anyways, so did you at least give him some relief?
It was also making Peter aggressive, and he would repeatedly ram into Margaret's body during their sessions.
Yeah.
Margaret's initial idea was to occasionally punctuate their lessons with day-long periods inside the tanks of Pam and Sissy, the two female dolphins kept on the premises.
No. No, he wants you, ma'am. He wants the shaved-headed girl with the rockin' bod. Mm-mm. Peter doesn't want to be fed. Peter wants to hunt.
Another thought I had on the subject, Margaret
That's
wrote
what-
in her journal, is whether or not it would be best for the human to somehow find a way to satisfy the dolphin's sexual needs without another dolphin. This may strengthen the bond between the dolphin and the human.
Hell yeah, it would. Hell yeah, it would, you dolphin prostitute. Oh yeah. I'm excited now. Holy shit, dude. This dolphin is getting drugs and jerked off by this lady. How do I sign up? Dude, I have a blowhole now. I'm a dolphin now. Somebody give me acid and blowjobs. What I'm saying is I would be down for some scientific research.
Outside of St. Thomas, Lily's claims of dolphin intelligence and language capabilities began to gain traction. His
crazy.
first book, Man and Dolphin, which he'd confided to colleagues that he'd written in a single weekend while high on amphetamines, was becoming a hit. It confronted
Rocky McCobb says, I want an autistic chick to jack me off. No fair. Right, dude? That's not cool. How is this? Some dolphins get all the luck, dude. And she's like hot too. And she's like weird up there. Like crazy. The crazy ones are the best. Ah.
its readers in the opening paragraph with the following prediction. Within the next decade or two, the human species will establish communication with another species. Non-human, alien, possibly extraterrestrial, more probably marine. But
Okay, so what did you do? Did you jerk the dolphin off? I feel like we're getting off topic.
definitely highly intelligent, perhaps even intellectual. Popular culture was responding to his claims with comics, movies, television shows.
They call him Flipper, Flipper, faster than lightning.
The world was embracing the idea that certain animals were smarter than previously believed.
Do you give the dolphin a cigarette afterwards? And a Gatorade? And then he's like, yeah, I'm down to, okay, I'll say, Margaret. Okay, there we go.
Although Lilly had severed his military ties, the United States Navy was conducting their own experiments in deciphering Delphinese.
These two dolphins are calling to each other. We can hear them, but we don't know what they mean. Yet. The United States Navy intends to find out.
The Navy's marine mammal program began their research in tandem with Lilly, hoping to discover what the dolphins' newfound intelligence could do for them.
With its fine sonar and ability to plunge to the depths, it could be trained to locate underwater objects.
Like submarines, they did. They gave it a little C4 backpack, and they said, go look for submarines. And then when you find one, we're going to blow your ass up.
Guard harbors against enemy swimmers and submarines.
I don't think they communicated that last part, but I think...
And to assist in various kinds of underwater
But
operations.
whatever, dude. If you're getting drugs and like hand jobs from this like cute like short-haired girl, it's been a good ride, right? I mean, if that's really the deal, right? I get to live for like a good portion of my life in this paradise.
Lilly rejected what he now saw as an exploitation of species he believed to be on a similar cognitive footing as humans. We are not dealing with small-brained animals in short-term experiments, he argued. And although he was guilty of it in the past, he now realized that keeping dolphins in such strict confinement was a breach of trust and goodwill. Lilly felt his Dolphin Point laboratory was more humane, as it was accommodating to both species and a prototype for facilities Lilly envisioned would be built all over the world's coast, where humans and dolphins could, quote, meet on a more equal footing, free to come and go. To talk and make sense with the dolphins, we must...
Goofy Boots says, shut up, bitch, and start jerking. That's exactly what I would say, too, right? I mean, if I was a dolphin, not a human. Nah, I'm just kidding. No, of course, dude. God, how am I so jealous of this stupid asshole dolphin? I hate that fucking dolphin.
Halfway in their own element, Lilly wrote. In the seawater, we will communicate. We must learn to live wetly. And despite the
phrasing. But also, I'm jealous of this stupid asshole dolphin, and I really dislike him.
Hurdles ahead, Margaret was pleased with the progress she was making, even beginning to imagine future sessions in the Dolphin House stretching years or even decades. I now am no longer thinking in terms of 3 months.
Eat Steak says it's not like she could understand if you did. Yeah, women are stupid.
She wrote, I think in terms of forever.
They just don't listen, you know? They just don't listen.
But as she began
you know what's probably hilarious? That dolphin was probably speaking perfectly clear English, and it wasn't registering, right? It just was not getting in.
Dealing with Peter's sexual urges herself, using her hands and feet, and documenting her methods in a diary that would later be published. She seemed to...
Eat Steak says you're an adult, you can literally do all of this. You're telling me I can go swim around in a tank as like a cute short-haired brunette girl gives me acid and jerks me off. You're saying I can do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. No, this dolphin is living the life. Is this like a coke dealer dolphin? Is he famous or something?
Unable to predict the scandal that would unfold as a result.
Because I can't do that.
To her, it was a clinical solution to the distraction that plagued their lessons, and an opportunity to bond with Peter. Both of these things, Margaret reasoned, were in service to their goal of interspecies communication. Dr. Lilly had meanwhile become preoccupied with the recesses of his own consciousness, going longer and longer in sensory deprivation. Referring to his own mind, Lilly wrote, it seems to...
Goofy Boots says, wait, I can jerk off a dolphin? Yeah. If you can catch a dolphin, you can jerk it off, dude. You just have to, like, get out there and, like, really give it your all, though. And, like, in the wild, it's going to be tough because, all of the other dolphins are going to be looking at you and being like, why are you jerking off Ted, man? Why are you jerking off? You just grab onto it and it's like, you're just jerking it off. All right. There we go. There we go. Oh, he's got some spirit. And then the rest of the dolphins are like, hold on.
Contain or be part of some large inner universes beyond my present understanding. And in an effort to go deeper, Lilly turned to a substance that was becoming the center of scientific interest across the United States.
This is a glass of water, colorless, tasteless. It contains 100 gamma of LSD-25.
How much is gamma? What's a gamma? What is it gamma? Is that like 1,000th of a gram? Is that what that is? Okay. Okay. So, a hit.
Lysergic acid diethylamide, commonly called acid or LSD, is an intense hallucinogenic substance originally marketed as a cure for...
Nah, it's chill. It's chill. Just don't do too much.
...various psychological conditions. Although it had been around for nearly 2 decades, the 1960s saw the beginning of its widespread medicinal use.
You know, the same company who discovered LSD discovered Adderall? Interesting. They were doing a bunch of weird, like, psychoactive experiments for, like, a long time.
Is in color, and and I can feel the air. I can see it. I can see all the molecules.
Against the advice.
Yeah, bitch. Party on. I can see all the molecules and stuff. You're like, okay, all right, get to jerking. Big Trucker says, it's illegal for me to kill Bigfoot. I ain't telling anyone. Jerk him off. You don't have to kill him. Just jerk him off. See what happens.
Of his colleagues, Lily would take it.
Yeah, that's right. Sandoz. Rocky Macabre. It was Sandoz Labs.
Alone, closing himself in a sensory deprivation tank for hours, hoping to unravel whatever mysteries wait in the darkness. It was during these trips that Lily began to believe the dolphins were attempting to telepathically communicate with him.
They programmed the trips, as I found out later.
See, that's you taking too much acid, bro. That's you taking too much acid. You can take a small amount of acid and, like, you can microdose. It's a popular thing for people in the Silicon Valley, for them to take a small amount of acid every single day so they are more creative and more focused and stuff like that. It's a nootropic. It's good for the brain. Nootropic. I think that's the term. But you took too much acid if you think dolphins are telepathically communicating with you. I'm just saying that. You took too much acid.
And took me out into the universe in a very expanded way.
They?
The dolphins.
Nootropic.
The 3 dolphins, yes.
Nootropic.
1, 2, 1.
Like mushrooms. No, but not even specifically psilocybin. There's like lion's mane. There's Amanita muscaria. There's turkey tail's pretty good. For like what else? There's reishi. Reishi is really good for nootropics. So a lot of different mushrooms are actually pretty healthy for your psychological, mental health, and like well-being. Look into it if you're interested. It's fascinating.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You guys don't have to tell me how to pronounce it. I don't care anymore. You guys get the idea.
As Margaret neared the end of her 10-week-long experiment, she was no closer to conversing with Peter in English than when she'd started.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And after more than...
That's when the dolphin was coming after her with his penis. Just letting you know, that's exactly... She was like, hey. Because that thing was out there. What does a dolphin's penis look like?
Than 2 months inside the dolphin house, with her sinuses stinging from salt water and her legs splotched with bruises, Margaret was exhausted.
Because the dolphin keeps trying to rape her.
Peter, I don't mean to bore you. Would you say it right? Then we'll go on.
Her sexual interactions with Peter had become increasingly relaxed. I started out afraid of Peter's mouth and afraid of Peter's sex, Margaret wrote. It has taken Peter about 2 months to teach me, and me about 2 months to learn. Then I am free to involve myself completely with both. She clarified that she made no...
I don't have a dolphin. I can't find a dolphin, but here's a killer whale with an erection. And that's probably why they call it a killer whale, because you can't jerk that thing off. That's an impressive erection. You guys want to keep looking at it just for now? Has everybody got their screenshot? I know you guys are a bunch of filthy weirdos. So if I posted this on X, it would get a bunch of bookmarks, and then I would just shake my head. I'd be like, oh God. Filthy animals, dude. Jesus Christ. Anyways, back to dolphin porn.
Secret of this aspect of their relationship. Although she described her own approach to it as loving, it was not meant to be private, and Margaret emphasized that other people were often present.
Goofy Boots says, must be nice. I have a huge killer whale dick.
But these caveats would do little to stop their intimacy from ultimately defining the entire experiment once it became public knowledge. Once the 10 weeks were over...
Okay, Eat Steak says post it, but she spelled it as like a fence post. Or not even that. It's the word roast with a P in front of it. So I'm going to assume you mean post it. Retarded.
Margaret and Dr. Lilly had originally planned to resume the experiment for a longer duration.
Hold on,
but
did I get
Lilly
rid of
found
it
himself
already?
struggling to fund it. Although he had financed the creation of the Dolphin laboratory on his own with the help of some cosmic coincidence, he was relying on a few financial backers, namely NASA, to sustain it. In 1961, Dr. Lilly had attended a meeting at the Green Bank Observatory in West Virginia, along with many of America's premier astrophysicists, cosmologists, and biochemists.
All right, I need a caption or something. What should I caption it as? It's a big old... What? Somebody give me something. I don't want to be creative and original. Not on Twitter. They don't pay me. They pay me here. I made $5. So if I make $5 more, I can buy a hit of acid. So, but I can't have like a huge whale dick like that. So, you know, a man can dream.
The meeting was called by a radio astronomer named Frank Drake, who was conducting the very first search for interstellar radio signals that might have come from extraterrestrial.
You're right, Goofy Boots. You're right. You know what? I'm gonna actually just go ahead and copy and paste, and I'm gonna go ahead and credit you, Goof. Just go away. We're watching some weird stuff.
What is it? Is this what that Zooey documentary?
No. This is a no. But that chick's jerking off a dolphin and giving it acid and stuff like that, and we're just seething with jealousy. And
You want to be jerked off?
if you feed me acid and jerk me off in a saltwater pool, yes, I want that. Yes. But I like have to ask for it. This dolphin doesn't even have to ask for it. See, it's like, what the fuck? It's not even...
What color was she?
She was white. What color do you think?
Real life. But everywhere Drake looked, the cosmos was speechless. He had the technology, but he needed the outside perspective of his peers to refine him.
There we go. I'll give you some good Bella right there. There we go. Rocky McCobb for $10 says get 2. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
Searching methods. Their meeting, which
now I
included
just
a young
need a
Carl
weird
Sagan,
chick
led to the
and a
Drake
pool.
equation, a formula used to determine the likelihood of a planet being home to alien life, giving his search the narrowed parameters he'd hoped for. But there was a complication, one that prompted Dr. Lilly's invitation to the meeting. Even if they were successful in finding...
Yes, she'll probably pop in the chat because she's probably like, what is going on? People, Eat Steak says, Jess, I love you. Dan Snot says, Jess, come on. Mail Riot says, we doing research. He says, we doing research. Big B Trucker says, we're learning about jerking dolphins, Jess. Yeah, come on. This is a learning program. Did you hear all that? You heard.
No, I heard about jerking off dolphins.
Yes, honey. We're learning to jerk off dolphins. There's a technique, right?
Like that?
I don't know because I can't learn. And apparently this chick can't either because she's covered in bruises, right? The dolphin keeps trying to rape her. But stop giving it acid and jerking it off. I mean, what do you expect?
But why the acid and jerking?
You don't party? It was the 60s, honey. It was a different time. People were free. And like...
Degenerates.
She was just exploring her avenues.
Oh my God.
Finding an alien...
And so was that dolphin.
Alien civilization, one with an entirely different evolutionary environment. How would they communicate with them? There was a feeling that this effort to communicate with dolphins,
Goofy Boots says, just go away, we're posting dicks.
Carl Sagan later wrote, was in some sense comparable to the task that will face us in communicating with intelligent species on another planet.
So stupid.
Lilly argued that bridging the communication gap with non-human intelligent life on Earth was an urgent precursor to finding extraterrestrials, or more.
I tagged you, Goofy Boots. I tagged you in it, so you know it's there. If you guys want to go and like comment on it and share your thoughts. If you have tips, tricks, plugs, go ahead. Be like, this is from the Sulk stream. God, I should have tagged it. Sulk stream.
More alarmingly,
somebody do that for me.
Us. I believe it is important that we consider possible ways of dealing with non-human intelligent life before the duty is forced upon us, he wrote. In John C. Lilly, Frank Drake and Carl Sagan believed they had found a unique kind of brilliance, and a kindred spirit who was unafraid of what his scientific contemporaries thought of him. They were so impressed that they commemorated their union with handmade pins and their unofficial group title, the Order of the Dolphins.
Next week, we're going to learn how to train a dolphin to eat ass. So that's my Monday episode. That's my cliffhanger for you guys. We're going to teach a dolphin to eat ass.
NASA, then only a few years old, gave Lilly a grant through their biosciences program, and the members of the Order of the Dolphins would regularly send each other coded...
And we're going to give it trank, so it just kind of like, it does that bendy thing, you know? How... Hold on. You guys know how to do it, right? Like that. So I want to see a bunch of dolphins like that. And eating ass. The dolphins eating ass. We're going to do a whole series of different sex moves and drugs with dolphins. Heroin in 69. Peyote and cowgirl. Reverse cowgirl. What else is there? There's a lot of other things. Mushrooms and doggy style.
Messages to decipher,
all of them.
Stoking their
all the hits,
and over
all
the
hits.
subsequent years, as their search of the cosmos for alien intelligence turned up nothing, the possibility of interspecies communication, at least in their lifetime, seemed to hinge on Lilly. Carl Sagan would regularly visit Lilly's lab on St. Thomas, where he would go scuba diving and interact with the dolphins. He wrote of one memorable encounter where he began petting a dolphin named Elvar, and after Sagan withdrew his hand, Elvar seemed to shout, "More." Sagan relayed the story.
I'm almost done. That's see, don't stop. In a limitless universe. Carl Sagan.
To Dr. Lilly, who responded, "Good, that's one of the words he knows." But empirical reproducible evidence that dolphins were capable of learning and speaking a complex language at the conversational level continued to elude Lilly and Margaret, and the critics were beginning to outnumber the supporters. If 1, 2, 3 said with very poor intelligibility by a dolphin is indicative of the giant-brained animal's ability to speak, and therefore to learn language, one critic wrote, what is to be said of a parrot's clear-cut Polly wants a cracker? Furthermore, if the parrot is then given a cracker, have we established communication with an alien species?
Yeah. Yes, you have. Humans have been communicating with animals for millennia. When you talk to, everyone knows when their dog has to go to the bathroom, or when you tell a dog to sit, it sits down. How is that not communication? In what aspect is that not clear-cut communication? I told the dog to sit, and it sits down. We are communicating. That's it. Dude, we didn't have to make it all trippy and like sci-fi, and we're breaking the barriers of species and humanity, and it's getting all like astrological and, you know, yeah, there's some jerking off, but the rest of it's really deep. No, man. You could just jerk off a dog like a normal person. For God's sakes.
Species? With nothing concrete to show for his efforts, funding for the Dolphin House was drying up.
Jeez,
dude. The remedy, Lilly thought, was for the dolphins and humans to converge on the same mental wavelength, and he would turn to his newfound substance for help.
Acid.
A study was made of the effect of one of these on a cat, which, prior to receiving a dose of the agent, reacted normally when confined with a mouse. When exposed to an extremely small amount of the agent, the cat's personality completely changed.
Although a transgressive idea, Lily was far from the only scientist.
Giving a cat acid. Dude, these are stoner experiments. These are like burnout stoner experiments when like there's like fat giggling stoners. They're like, hey man, I gave your cat acid. And you did what? Oh man. Oh, poor Muffin. Oh, but she's acting funny. That's science? That's science to you? I mean, they're even doing one better because they're not jerking the cat off.
Just giving acid to animals to see how they react.
Jeez, dude.
In fact, Lily had already begun giving
your stoner friends do better science than this weirdo.
Dolphins in the laboratory in an attempt to make them more communicative. After giving 100 micrograms to Pam, a typically timid dolphin, Dr. Lilly noticed her becoming more extroverted and eager to interact with him. But Margaret's problem with Peter wasn't that he was uncommunicative or introverted.
Is she blowing that dolphin? No. Okay, I was going to say, if they actually had a picture of her blowing a dolphin, I would have seen it by now.
Peter had the opposite problem.
I would have seen that by now.
Margaret?
It would have been on my hard drive. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Please do not like...
Look, John, Margaret said to Lily, I am devoting my time, my energy, my love, and my life to working with Peter.
She's weird, dude. She's weird, you guys. She's weird, but like in a good way. Like in a really good way.
Peter, Sissy, and Pam. I want no interference with my aims for that work. If you want to do your...
I'm very busy jerking off dolphins, Dad. Please do not disturb my work. She's an old pro.
Experiments on solitude and LSD, please keep them in the isolation room. Despite Margaret's protest, Lily administered 200 micrograms to Peter.
John tagged the FBI. I don't think, for that picture, I think it's going to be okay.
Recorded his reaction for
But it's not even her blowing the dolphin, for God's sake. So it's going to be bunk.
Hours.
10:06 p.m. 2600 hours. Tape number 8. Peter and LSD. 200 microgram dose continued. This is about the beginning of the 8th hour.
Whatever effect it had on Peter seemed to be almost entirely internal, as the recordings feature little more than the analog hum of the tape and the occasional motion of tank water. The introduction of LSD had accomplished nothing, and it became...
Maybe they're jerking the dolphin off too much? Are you guys really talkative after you get jerked off? I'm not like clicking and squeaking and stuff like that and like begging for treats. I'm like sleepy. So maybe you're jerking off. Maybe the lady's just like doing her job too good and just like draining the nuts of these dolphins, like just draining them, right? And then they hold on. You're doing too good of a job. Wait for me back at my cabin.
Became a point of contention with Margaret and the other staff at the Dolphin Point laboratory. Gregory Bateson, an anthropologist in charge of studying and looking after the other dolphins kept on site, left in protest. And without government grants or allies who were willing to follow his new approach to interspecies...
Government grants for jerking off dolphins and giving them drugs. Government... Yeah, you're not going to get any of that.
Communication.
Weird.
No choice.
Dude, really? You thought you could go to the government? Was the 60s really like that? We need money to jerk off these dolphins. We have like this cute 20-year-old and she's like, weird, you guys. You can watch. And then everyone's like, yeah, okay, all right, $20 million. $20 million. We'll see what happens. And then they're all in the fucking pool smoking and shit like that. Bunch of perverts. They are politicians.
But to close his Dolphin Point laboratory after nearly a decade of research. Against his own code of ethics, he moved the dolphins to a small building he'd rented.
Timothy Leary was an inside agent. He worked for the CIA. You know that. Timothy Leary worked for the CIA. He was on the inside. That was not Timothy Leary. If you guys don't know who Timothy Leary is, he coined the phrase "tune in, turn on, and drop out," and he was really behind the 1960s free love, drop acid type of movement. He was a CIA agent. He was a plant. The entire hippie movement was an MK Ultra experiment to see how much of a counterculture they could create in a single generation. They did a really good job. And yeah, he was part of that. Yeah, fuck Timothy Leary. Yeah, fuck that guy.
In Miami, where they were stored inside tanks barely wide enough to swim. Lilly couldn't have been further from his vision of living symbiotically in intellectual collaboration with the cetaceans. But the final failure of the Dolphin House experiment would come only a few weeks later, when Peter passed away. John called himself...
He died happy. Peter died happy, right? We should all be as... You know how many people have just an absolute shit life, and they never get like a short-haired cute girl to give them acid and jerk them off in a pool? Not once. Not once. And this Peter, this dolphin, that was his job. That was his job, dude. So it's sad that he died, sure, but I mean, God, dude, what a fucking badass.
To tell me, Margaret later told the Guardian.
I salute
he said
you.
Peter had committed suicide. Peter had reported...
Oh, yeah, the dolphin committed suicide. Okay, fine. Yeah, because he had such a terrible life getting jerked off by the... Oh, I'm jerked off. No, he didn't commit suicide. Somebody probably killed him out of jealousy.
Reportedly stopped breathing, refusing to come up for air at the surface of the tank where he was kept. Kathy, one of the dolphins from the television show...
Despite what you've heard says tapping out, have a good weekend. Pussy.
Flipper suffered a similar
he hasn't even
fate
finished
after
yet.
the show's production had ended. Richard O'Barry...
Rocky says he jumped out the window. No. What do you think? They walked into the tank and he was hanging from the rafters? Right? No, he wasn't. He didn't carve Peter into the, it's a fucking Shawshank Redemption. No. Peter was doing all right. He was pretty happy. I say it was probably a hit. That was a hit. It was probably some government hit that, they shot Peter in the back of the head, right in the blowhole twice. And then they're all like, it was clearly a suicide. And they threw the gun in the tank, too. They're like, what? Prove it wasn't. Okay. All right. All right. And then you look into Peter's background, and it turns out he was an SS officer.
The man who'd captured and trained the dolphins for Flipper fell into a
Shocking.
lifetime of guilt and was later arrested for attempting to free other dolphins from captivity. Dr. Lilly shared a similar guilt.
I felt I was on the wrong path.
Okay.
Killing them and putting electrodes in their heads. And
Yeah,
stuff.
Rocky says he kicked the chair and, yep, it was sad, right? He was institutionalized, right? They wanted to put him back in the ocean, but he was like, no, I don't want to leave the jerk-off girl and all the acid. No. And then he decides to off himself. I understand that. Because I'd be like, I'm not going back in that ocean. No, I want to stay here. I want to, no, with the cute weird girl and the acid and the, no, you can't take me. You can't. That would be me. I'd be doing that.
So I let the last three go.
Sad,
An old
right?
one
It's sad.
who took care of the two young ones that were there. And I knew that the old one would teach the young ones so that it was safe to let them go.
Just dragging the dolphin out of the pool.
Of the many scientific accomplishments that would take place throughout the late 1960s, interspecies communication was not among them. Although Lilly's work would become the inspiration for several works of science fiction.
The Day of the Dolphin.
He had trained a dolphin to kill the president
of the United States.
Holy shit. Can somebody get me this movie? Can somebody find this movie for me and get it for me? Can somebody get me this movie? Can somebody... What movie is that? Is that Day of the Dolphin? Somebody get me that movie.
Stop me now.
Lily's big win for the scientific community and humanity in general fell short
I
of what he...
I want to meet this Oswald character Dolphin. That's like, you know, in the book depository, and he What? You're kidding me.
And others who had put their trust in him had hope.
Dan Stott says fucking based.
After the publication of his third book, Programming and Metaprogramming in the Human Biocomputer, which
Good
has
man,
been
Rocky.
described as a
You
guide to,
go find me
quote,
that.
jailbreak...
You go find me that. I wanna know about the assassin Dolphin and like what was he like on the set? Did he have a bunch of the interns like jerking him off in his trailer or his pool? I don't know. Was he a badass? I'm sure he was a badass, dude. God, I didn't know there was so many cool dolphins out there. I had no idea how many cool-ass dolphins there were.
Break the mind using LSD and sensory deprivation. Lilly began his ascent to counterculture juggernaut while also becoming a scientific outcast. By the late 1960s, LSD had also become the subject of
the flesh of the devil. This looks like a good one too. That chick looks like Michael Jackson, though.
Like fear.
You are looking at a traveler who just bought a ticket for a very special kind of a trip. The cost? A few dollars. And his mind. Over which he will very...
Okay. Is this like a Reefer Madness for acid? Because I'm surprised I haven't heard of that.
Shortly have little or no control.
And Lilly was
that's not how acid works.
Forced to return his allotment to Sandoz Laboratories due to new
Sandoz, there you go.
Restrictions being placed on the substance. Without easy access to large quantities of lysergic acid, Lilly would continue the experiments
on the John says, actually, I heard it was because the Dolphin saw a second man with the Oklahoma City bomber, Timothy McVeigh. Oh. So do you think there was like a group of dancing dolphins outside of 9/11? Right? You think it was that? It was one of those? Interesting theory.
On himself with ketamine, an anesthetic he called vitamin K. The frequency in which he subjected his body to it was punishing, injecting it into his thigh 24 times a day for weeks at a time, leading to such near-death experiences as passing out into a hot tub while under its effects.
Are you risking your life for this sort of thing? I don't think in terms of risk. Evolution. Pushing. Getting there. Fast.
When one is doing research on a substance, Lilly wrote, one takes it so frequently that outside observers can say you're addicted, but that's a very bad definition of addiction.
You can't get addicted to LSD, but if you do too much LSD, then you're just like that guy that does too much LSD. I remember one time in Hawaii, I met this old hippie, and he said he did like, over his lifetime, he did like 10,000 hits of LSD. And, he was weird, but like he was cool. I mean, but he was weird, right? He was weird. We talk about a spirit animal a lot, and like, but he was cool. I mean, but yeah, if you take tons of acid like your entire life, you're gonna be not damaged by it, but you're just gonna be weird because you spent so much time in that realm that's going to be part of your personality, right? Not necessarily damage, not like less intelligent or anything like that. You're just weird. You talk about things that people don't understand because they didn't spend, 10,000 hours tripping balls on acid, right? You get some perspective that other people aren't going to have, right? If you want that, be my guest. But people aren't going to know what the fuck you're talking about for the rest of your life.
Any good research is obsessive and compulsive.
Is it possible that this might damage your mind permanently? Who's to say?
He continued writing books.
Who's to say?
His writing became...
Who's to say? And that's a perfectly, like, to damage your mind. Not damage your brain, but damage your mind. But what is damaging your mind, right? Is it damaging your perception? And who's to say what is damage, right? Is the collective perception we have of reality as like sober humans the real reality? Or is this guy doing tons of acid and then shifting that focus? Is that the proper way to look at reality? Who's to say? You're a weirdo though, right? I mean, I get what you're saying, but you're still a weirdo.
Became stranger.
I mean, you jerk off dolphins for a living.
More opaque with each publication.
Or you watch that girl jerk off dolphins. Don't tell me you didn't watch.
In his autobiography,
Don't
written
you
largely
fucking
in
tell
third
me you didn't
person,
watch.
Lily referred...
Don't you tell me there wasn't a bunch of cameras and you watch those cameras every night of that chick jerking off that dolphin. Every night, right?
to himself simply as the scientist and begins...
And then you went crazy with jealousy and you're like, that dolphin has to die. And then you had to make it look like a suicide.
The book prior to his birth with
We're cracking the case, boys.
Multiple opening chapters of Lily as a formless entity residing in hyperspace before taking human form.
We talk about insanity, which is what's going on in your mind, and outsanity, which is where you communicate with those outside.
He looks fried. He honestly looks fried, dude. That's not like the guy I met in Hawaii that did it. He didn't look like that. This might be something else though. Because remember, the CIA was watching this guy intently. And they sometimes want to push certain narratives. And so it's not unbelievable for them to poison this guy, poison his brain, put lead in his food or something like that to make him look crazier. But if you do pure acid a lot, it shouldn't damage your brain. It might damage your mind. I'm not going to get back into that, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
If you give too much of your insanity, they'll lock you up. Well, I tried taking as much as I could. They didn't lock me up. They published it.
Troy McClure's origin story.
In journals such as
You might have seen me in such films as Jerking Off the Dolphin and Let's Drop Acid with the Dolphin. And hey, who's jerking off my dolphin? Or why did my dolphin kill itself? I'm Troy McClure.
Science were replaced.
That was a great Phil Hartman bit. It was a great Phil Hartman bit. His wife got super high on coke and shot him in his sleep, by the way.
With write-ups in magazines like Magical Blend and High Times. Experiments in his Dolphin Point laboratory would be reduced to their most...
Okay. Interspecies sex, humans and dolphins. So it wasn't even like low key. Not even like low key. Okay. Oh my God.
Lurid details.
Hold on.
High Times.
I have to go back.
Experiments in his...
Okay. Screenshot. There we go. Should I do that? No, just that. There we go. Okay. Should I post that one too?
Dolphin Point laboratory would be reduced to their most lurid details. When a sensationalized depiction appeared in Hustler, a mortified Margaret Howe went around buying every copy she could find in order to get them off the shelves, before realizing how futile such an attempt was. Lily's sensory deprivation conferences with Echo, now regularly under the influence of vitamin K, led to some unforgettable hallucinations.
I posted in the comments of that the whale with the huge dick. So if you guys need it,
I took 150 milligrams of ketamine.
There you go.
And suddenly,
there you go.
The Earth Coincidence Control Office removed my penis and handed it to me.
He said removed my penis and handed it to me, and I screamed in terror. Whoa.
And I screamed in terror. My wife Tony came running in from the bedroom, and she said it's still attached.
It's still attached. He's wearing a coonskin cap. I'm just He's wearing a coonskin cap. Oh, look at the time. Look at the time, boys. Sorry. Show's over. You're going to have to get your dolphin porn somewhere else. I'm sure Merce's show will have plenty of that. Thanks for coming, guys. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you learned something about dolphins getting jerked off and how weird white women can be. I think we all knew that. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. And don't let me hear about you guys jumping into the tank at SeaWorld, because don't do that. You can't jerk off dolphins. Goofy Boots, you can't go jerk off the dolphins, all right? But if you do, please take pictures and post them so we can all have proof that Goofy Boots like jerking off dolphins. Anywho, thanks for coming, guys. I hope you had a great time. I hope you get out there and make the best of your day, night, lives. It doesn't matter. You know I love you. I think you're handsome. I want you out there making me proud. Making me the proudest cult member leader there has ever been. Anyways, guys, I hope you have a good night. I hope you have a good weekend. Please come back on Monday. I'm going to be on Daywave, and then right back here on the Sulk stream at 8 p.m. And until then, get a good night's sleep, drink lots of water, and take care of yourselves, because I care about you too. I'll see you guys on Monday. Love ya. Bye.
I'm an incredible soul, unhinged and enraged like a bulldog's fierce growl. I'm spitting fire, burning through these trees, questioning the world, unraveling conspiracies. Talking about Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster too. Government lies, they're feeding me their goo. I'm diving deep into this rabbit hole, uncovering the truth, setting fire to their control. I got small nipples, but my voice is loud, roaring like thunder in this crazy crowd. They say I'm crazy, but I call it woke, unraveling the madness with every word I spoke.